Gacha leaks are much like birds. Some people intentionally look for them. Some people point out how one looks prettier than the other. Some people focus more of their attention on the actual scenery. You know, the trees, the wind in their hair, and the sun on their face. Are more in the moment. And some people get caught in the crossfire. They actually get shit on or step in something they don't like. Basically a long-winded way of saying how leaks can be both good and bad. But how are they good and bad? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. My name's Skamosa, and I just want to do a little bit of a view on the state of gacha leaks. Now, this video is going to be broken up into how they're good, how they're bad, how they're a little bit of both, and maybe my final thoughts at the end. So let's get right into it. Now, it's no secret that gacha games are incredibly predatory. Now, granted, some are more than others, right? Some have more incentive to play every day, to spend more money because maybe the meta is in need for you to get that new character, or the rewards of playing are just too good not to, or certain events are time gated to the point where you have to always be active, or the story is too complex that you're gonna have no idea what's going on, right? There's many different ways that a gacha game can be predatory, and leaks serve as a good way for the general people to understand what's coming to the future of the game. What I mean by that is it informs players of what characters to pull or what events are coming up, where to spend their money. It gives more transparency against their predatory systems and their gacha. For example, for when 2.0 came out, Carlotta was the big character, the big hype unit that everyone's talking about. Leaks would allow people to see, oh wow, Brant is coming up, so that person would be good for my Shangli, or Phoebe's coming up, or Roshan would help my Camellia, and so forth, right? So people being able to see, oh, this unit might not be good right now, but because of leaks, I can see one or two patches ahead, try to get a good grasp of what type of character they are, what their kit is, what they scale off of. Allows you to also get your materials in order, not just real life money, right? But also in-game time, be able to spend that more wisely. Similarly, going on to my second point, seeing that content earlier is not only beneficial to the average consumer, but also for content creators in that space. For example, seeing Zani's kit earlier allows people to theory craft, make guides, and tell people like, oh, this is what you need for Zani, and so forth. Also being able to see which gacha games, not specifically Wuthering Waves, right, but just any gacha games, like, oh, leaks indicate that there's this big thing coming to this game, but maybe not this game. So they can also allocate their time, maybe make content on that, and have it prepared on the day of, or maybe even earlier, depending on the game, whether it's important or not, whether it's hype enough. Which brings me on to my third point, hype. Now, I think we can all agree that Cardathea was absolute cinema. Jesus Christ, man. And she was such absolute cinema because we got to see her earlier because it was leaked by Jeff Keighley, if I'm saying his name correctly. I mean, every YouTuber under the sun, every content creator even related to gacha, all had their eyes on Cardathea. Now, the reason why it's so positive is because it got people looking outwards in. What I mean by that is people who would normally not look at Wuthering Waves, who would not normally look at gacha content, they get to see this content early, and especially, you know, a large reason is because of Jeff Keighley, right? Because he's a more prominent figure in the gaming industry with the Game Awards and such, right? And he's responsible, kind of like a journalist, for publishing all these big headliner events and news related to gaming. Because of that leak, more people were able to look at Cardathea and wonder, oh, what is this about? What game is she from? And just also just getting the general community of Wuthering Waves hyped as well. Especially right after the anniversary, which people might think they might, you know, calm down a little bit. But if anything, I think Cardathea should have been the headliner unit for anniversary. It's kind of crazy. But with all the attention that leaks get, it's also a negative. And there's a lot of negatives to go over. First, it hurts the developers and artists' intentions. And also, because a lot of the time it might be unfinished work. So what I mean by that is if they release a character's moveset early, the community seeing that unfinished work might draw their opinions right there and then based off of the work they see in front of them, which in reality is hurtful, because a lot of the time content always gets revised, always gets reworked over the process before it gets published to the public. I mean, just as an example, if Cardathia's moveset was bad or unfinished or looked a little choppy or something like that, right? The amount of negative PR that would have, especially when characters like Skirk are coming out, and I made a whole video about that, where Skirk is the most hyped unit for Genshin, it would make it look even worse if it's like, oh, this character from this game looks better, but this character from this game looks trash. And it would be logical to say that they do. I mean, it would make sense for a leak to make something look worse, because most of the time they're under construction. Basically, they're still going into changes. Going on to the next point, and I think this is obviously one of the more obvious points, is that it spoils surprises. I remember for the Wuthering Waves anniversary how the Shangli and Carlotta skin were. I did see a leak for them about like 2 weeks, maybe a month before. Obviously, I didn't know if it was true, which is another point. But I already had an idea of, oh, maybe these outfits are going to be a thing. Now, it still doesn't take away from the actual moment of them being revealed. I'll grant that. But it still lessens the effect with my expectations. And this can for sure go for many people, right? If they see a leak, for example, oh, this patch will get this new character and that new character, or a free thing of this, or a 10 pull of that, right? It'll also make us more complacent as an audience to then expect that, right? Instead of being a surprise, like, oh, nice, cool new thing. It's like, okay, we're getting that. And then it kind of lessens the effect over time while waiting for that new content, that reward, or that character to come, right? It's less impactful. Now on to the most important point, in my opinion, which is that leaks, because they are not generally correct a lot of the time. Sometimes they are, yeah, but it gives leeway to misinformation. I think a great example of this is with the Wuthering Waves anniversary, how we were promised, well, some people were also just idiots being like, oh, there's going to be a free Zani. I can smell it. They're going to make her free because they love us. Obviously, people like that, that's not really a leak. That's just people being stupid. But there are leaks of, I think, a free 10 pull. If I can find it, I'll put on screen both a Shangli graphic and like free 10-20 pulls, which with times like that, misinformation like that really, really hurts the game that they're trying to leak for, right? Or leak from. I then remember people being more and more outraged at WoW, being like, they're not giving us enough rewards. They're not giving us a free Zani. They're not giving us this or that. Because in this leak, I saw it, and people don't lie on the internet. That's not possible. Well, guys, people on the internet, it sucks, man. I know it sucks. Going on to the next point, which is, I think, is pretty obvious, is legal and ethical issues with, obviously, the company not wanting you to do it, and also there being laws in place to discourage leaks, to discourage this happening in the industry. I think the most recent example was there was leaks for Lova and Lupa that circulated around Reddit and stuff, where I believe the person that showed those leaks got actually arrested or fined or something. So, I mean, that's a pretty obvious one, but it's pretty stupid for someone to leak something. Now, obviously, some of the good and bad it's not black and white, right? There's a little bit of gray. For example, the hype, it goes both ways, right? The hype is good in cases like Cardathia, where everyone, the whole community was like, whoa, oh my god, she looks amazing. Wow, I wonder what she's gonna do, what she's gonna scale off of, wow, right? But then there's also the point of the hype being so early on it's not gonna make it as impactful when Cardathia might actually come out. Of course, there's still gonna be hype. It would be stupid to say there'd be no hype, right? Just because of leaks. But it does lessen the effect of seeing it in person, right? And this doesn't just go for Cardathia, obviously. I'm just using an example. And then also the content creators benefit, right? With leaks, if some content creators stay away from leaks. Me personally, I still look at leaks, but I want to try to lean away from it because a lot of people just want to know what's happening as the game, as Wuthering Waves, as Kuro Games is releasing it, which makes entire sense because most of the player base isn't going to necessarily look at leaks, not going to be on the specific subreddits or specific accounts that show this sort of stuff, right? So most of the casual players are only going to see what's actually in the game. So it makes complete sense for content creators to stay away from leaks, right? Yeah, there's good, there's bad, and then there's the ugly. There's multiple ways you can look at it in multiple perspectives, which, I mean, it's definitely not as simple because there's also different like leagues of leaks, right? There's some that are simpler, some that are more in depth, some that reveal way too much, and I mean most of them, I think it's safe to say that most general leaks are generally unhealthy, but a lot of people, I understand, they want to see, oh, I'm summoning for this character, but who's next? I'm playing this content, but what's next? I mean, it's a simple thirst for knowing what's happening, wanting to know what's happening, which is, I think, completely understandable. But yeah, tell me your thoughts in the comments below, like, subscribe, and thank you. See you guys in the next video.